How many of you have heard the saying, be yourself? I guess all of us have. But those words aren't strong enough to really convince us that we should be ourselves, as the societal pressure to fit in almost always outweighs the empty words. But what if the saying was, what's the point of being you if you're trying to be someone else? This was a thought I had when I was in 7th grade. My best friends had just moved away. I had just broken my hand. My grades were a dumpster fire. I was shorter than everyone else, and I looked younger than everyone else. Because of that, I was teased and mocked. I wished that I was taller. I wished that I was older looking. I wished that I had more friends. And for so many years before, I had been forcing myself to fit in. I was so focused on trying to live someone else's life that I forgot to live my own. And every single day since then, I've asked myself, what's the point of being you if you're trying to be someone else? I want to tell all of you, and anybody who's ever felt insecure about who they are, what the cost of fitting in is, how to break the cycle of conformity, and how to find happiness in being yourself. Realizing won't happen overnight. It won't happen in a month. It might not even happen for a couple of years. But you will eventually realize that the only person's life you should live by is your own. People don't tell you about the consequences of fitting in. As the saying goes, there's no such thing as a free lunch, and there is a price to pay for fitting in. When I forced myself to fit in, there are 4 main elements that I experienced: a lack of gratitude, minimal happiness and fulfillment, a loss of self-control and awareness, and a strain on my relationships. A lack of gratitude was the first element that I experienced. When I was in 2nd grade, I had received a Nintendo Switch for Christmas that I had begged my parents for. But when I went back to school from winter break, I was shamed for it, as a lot of my other classmates had gotten an Xbox. I immediately lost gratitude for getting the game system I had wanted. And even though I originally begged my parents for a Nintendo, I didn't want it anymore. I wanted an Xbox, thinking that would make me happy, as I would have what everyone else had, and I would fit in. Remember, this was in 2nd grade. The desire to fit in starts at an early age. As a result of constantly trying to change my personality and desires into what was trendy, my happiness started to deteriorate. I was always looking for approval and validation, focused on others instead of myself. When I did experience short-term satisfaction from times I did fit in, I felt unfulfilled. And when I went looking for long-term satisfaction, I was shamed for it because I wasn't doing what others were doing, which built up a lot of emotions. The next element that I experienced was loss of self-control and awareness. All of the emotions from the teasing and the never enough to fit in attitude blurred my sense of reality, making me feel like everyone was against me. Consequently, one day in 3rd grade, those emotions spilled over, and it resulted in an incident that got me suspended from school. When we got home from when I got suspended, me and my parents had a long discussion about the consequences of breaking the school rules. I could see that they were visibly upset, and I realized that my actions had caused a strain on my relationships with them. Over the next couple years, the friends I did find common interests with started to move away for various reasons, like their parents found a better job in another state, or they needed to go to another school, or their current house was too small. This made fitting in a lot more difficult. It didn't help that I was also in a small minority of kids who went to a different middle school than almost everybody in my elementary school due to districting. Also, COVID hit around that time. This cost me my chance to socialize with others as I was in remote learning and isolation. Then, 7th grade happened, and people started making fun of me for things I could not change, like my height or my appearance. I was so fed up with being the butt of every joke, being made fun of every single day, that from that day, I decided I wanted to break the cycle of fitting in. Breaking the cycle of fitting in starts with some questions you have to ask yourself. Why do you want to break the cycle? Question societal norms and expectations. Challenge assumptions about what's considered normal or acceptable. Ask, why do I feel compelled to fit into this standard? Or, does this standard align with my personal goals and beliefs? By questioning the status quo, you open yourself up to alternatives. This promotes the idea that there isn't just one route to happiness or success, and dismantles the belief that conformity is the only route to self-acceptance. Once you've done that, ask yourself, how will I not fall back into the cycle? For me, I love video games. It may seem childish and certainly would not be promoted by schools as a path to success, but they make me happy. For example, I love the Legend of Zelda series. It's the reason why I wanted the Nintendo in the first place. I own a replica sword and shield from the game, so yes, I am a Zelda geek. But I own it, and it makes me happy. I'm not going to shame myself when others come up to me and say it's stupid. Another outward example of this is when I wear soccer jerseys to school to show my interest in the sport. Others would come up to me and ask me about it, and I was able to make friends with people who share common interests with me without changing my personality. Expressing yourself under the radar through clothing is a great step you can take to help break the cycle. Whether it's expressing your opinion more openly in conversations, pursuing a personal passion project, trying something new, or dressing in a way that feels more authentic to you. Taking small, incremental steps is a great way to help reduce your fear of fitting in. I find it's like going to the gym. Consistency is key when trying to reduce your fear. And like with the gym, if you have a bad day or miss a day, the best thing to do is just get right back at it. One thing I'm working on to try and reduce my fear of fitting in is to work on my social interactions and cues. I actually texted a bunch of people asking for brutally honest feedback. Some of the feedback that I received was not true and over the top, like, you're a spoiled brat and you're ungrateful. While I may have had some of those emotions in elementary school, I can assure you that I'm a lot more grateful for what I have now. Although some of the feedback was straight and honest. I was told that I butt into conversations, interrupt people mid-sentence, and come off as a know-it-all. Let's face it, social interaction is a critical skill in life. I find the more I practice those skills, the less fearful I am about fitting in. Finding people in clubs or activities who share common interests with you is how you can help break the cycle. I think that everyone has the fear of fitting in to some extent. But at the same time, we force ourselves to fit in. When we take our own personalized ways to fit in, we can also take our own personalized ways to not fit in. And when we do that, we're able to find happiness in being ourselves. Happiness is a journey for everyone, really. We take our own paths to try and find what makes us happy. If you follow someone else's path, then you won't find your own. And if you don't find your own, well, then you'll live a pretty miserable life. Think about what makes you happy. What brings you joy? You can't be comfortable with yourself unless you're happy. One thing I've learned is to let go of grudges. I believe that there have been certain people in my life that have gone out of their way to exclude me in elementary school and middle school. Letting go of people who have wronged you in the past can feel like a huge weight off your chest. Nelson Mandela once said, "Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping it will kill your enemies." The past has already happened. You can't change what happened, but you can change what happens. Another skill I like is living in the moment. By being present and not focusing on what others are doing, whether it's on social media or in person, allows you to focus more on yourself. But one of the best strategies I use to find happiness is to be kind. Whether it's smiling, saying hi, helping someone out, or just asking how someone's doing. There's a lot of people out there who might feel insecure about who they are. And that little kindness can be all someone needs to make them feel better about themselves. I know that in a school setting, when someone helps me out or takes notice, it makes me feel better. And I try to do the same for others. If you feel insecure about who you are and think that you can't break the cycle, just remember, it's okay to take it slow. You're special. Nobody will ever be exactly like you, nor you be like someone else. Taking personalized ways to help reduce the fear of fitting in is how you can find happiness in being yourself and break the cycle. Because at the end of the day, you only get one life. What's the point of being you if you're trying to be someone else? Don't change for someone else, because you can't change who you are. Thank you.